His Divine Grace Shalesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Bhakti Founder Acharya Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Thai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 4, Chapter number 16, titled Praise of King Prithu by the Professional Reciters. Text number 3. Atapi udara shravasa pritor hare. Atapi udara shravasa pritor hare. Kalavatarasya katam ritadritaha. Kalavatarasya katam ritadritaha. Yatopadesam munibhi prachoditaha. Yatopadesam munibhi prachoditaha. Slagyani karmani vayam vitanmahi. Slagyani karmani vayam vitanmahi. Atapi udara shravasa pritor hare. Kalavatarasya katam ritadritaha. Yatopadesam munibhi prachoditaha. Slagyani karmani vayam vitanmahi. Atapi udara shravasa pritor hare. Kalavatarasya katam ritadritaha. Yatopadesam munibhi prachoditaha. Slagyani karmani vayam vitanmahi. Mataji's. Word for word translation. Atapi, nevertheless. Udara, liberal. Shabasa, whose fame. Pritoho, of King Prithu. Hare, of Lord Vishnu. Kala, part of a plenary expansion. Avatarasya, incarnation. Katha, words. Amrita, nectarian. Adritaha, attentive to. Yatha, according to. Upadesam, instruction. Munibihi, by the great sages. Prachoditaha, being encouraged. Slagyani, laudable. Karmani, activities. Vayam, we. Vitanmahi, shall try to spread. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Lesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Although we are unable to glorify you adequately, we nonetheless have a transcendental taste for glorifying your activities. We shall try to glorify you according to the instructions received from authoritative sages and scholars. Whatever we speak, however, is always inadequate and very insignificant. Dear King, because you are a direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality Godhead, all your activities are liberal and ever laudable. Purport. However expert one may be, he can never describe the glories of the Lord adequately. Nonetheless, those engaged in glorifying the activities of the Lord should try to do so as far as possible. Such an attempt will please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya has advised all his followers to go everywhere and preach the message of Lord Krishna. Since this message is essentially Bhagavad Gita, the preacher's duty is to study Bhagavad Gita as it is understood by disciplic succession and explained by great sages and learned devotees. One should speak to the general populace in accordance with one's predecessors, sadhu, guru, and shastra. This simple process is the easiest method by which one can glorify the Lord. Devotional service, however, is the real method, for by devotional service one can satisfy the Supreme Personality Godhead with just a few words. Without devotional service, volumes of books cannot satisfy the Lord. Even though preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement may be unable to describe the glories of the Lord, they can nonetheless go everywhere and request people to chant Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing our discussion about Maharaj Prithu from the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the last chapter we saw the appearance of Maharaj Prithu, and as soon as he appeared by the potency of the Brahmanas, then all different demigods, sages, different personalities like Gandharvas, Apsaras, from all over the universe, they came and they offered different gifts to Maharaj Prithu, because they could understand that this personality who has appeared is none other than an avatar or an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even Lord Brahma came, Lord Shiva came. In this way, all the great personalities from all the universe, they came to receive Maharaj Prithu, and they were offering different gifts onto Maharaj Prithu. At this time, there were some professional reciters or glorifiers who are known as the Sutas or Magadas. They started offering different prayers and glorifications and praises onto Maharaj Prithu, saying that in the future you'll do this, in the future you'll be like this, you'll have this quality, that quality, so on and so forth. In this way, they're glorifying Maharaj Prithu. And at the end of the last chapter, we saw Maharaj Prithu, out of his humility, he tries to deflect these praises being offered onto him. How? He explains to these professional reciters that, all these things you're saying, I haven't done. I'm just born now. I just appeared now. I just appeared half an hour ago or 1 hour ago. And you're saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I have this quality, I have that quality, but I haven't done anything. I just appeared now and you're offering all these praises. I don't deserve this. Let me first act, let me first do amazing activities, then you can glorify. But without me doing anything, how can you glorify me? So this is not appropriate. Please stop. Don't offer such praises like this. So like this, Maharaj Prithu, out of his humility, he tries to deflect these praises. So according to Shastra, it is said that great devotees, or is the nature of a devotee, to not want to be praised by others. A devotee is one who always doesn't like to be glorified or praised by others. For us, as conditioned souls, it's the opposite. Whenever someone glorifies us, offers us some praise, we feel very happy, we feel, it's like nectar to our ears. Just like when we distribute books, one technique we're taught by senior devotees. Actually, Prabhupada, he himself gave us this technique to distribute books. Prabhupada says that if you want to sell a book, first thing you do, you glorify the person you're talking to and you offer praise to them. That my dear sir, my dear lady, you're so great, you're so, you're so good. You look like someone very learned. You come from this background, you come from that country, Like this, you offer different praises and glorification to the person you're talking to, and then that person will start feeling very happy, Slowly, he'll get more and more puffed up. Wow, thank you. It will be like nectar for his ears, Whole day that person, he or she, might be struggling at work, struggling with family, struggling with friends, and then finally someone comes and offering them, so much praise and glorification, then they feel so happy and joyful. Then after they feel so happy, then you put the book in their hand and say, okay, now you please take this book. Then they'll happily take, because they feel obliged, right? That finally someone is noticing all my great qualities, Finally someone is recognizing my worth, someone is recognizing this quality, that quality. Then whatever you say, they will do. You tell them, take this book, give me money, they'll take the book, give money. So this is the technique Prabhupada taught us to distribute books, that you use the power of appreciation. You offer glorification, you offer praise to the person you're talking to. Then that person will feel so happy, so obliged, that whatever you offer to them, they will take it, even though they might not have any interest in it. So the general tendency of a conditioned soul is, whenever any praise or glorification comes, it's like nectar for our ears. It's like gulab jamuns, for our ears coming in, very juicy and tasty. But Shastras explain that for devotees of the Lord, actually it's opposite. Whenever any praise or glorification comes towards them, they can't tolerate it. And they just want to run away, and not hear their own praise, not hear their own glorification. So a devotee is one who doesn't like to hear his own glorification. A devotee is one who doesn't like to hear his own praise. That is the quality of a devotee. Prabhupada, he gives many definitions of humility one definition of humility Prabhupada once gives is, humility means to not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. So that is one definition Prabhupada gives of humility. I'll repeat it again. Humility means not to be anxious, not to look out, not to be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored and praised by others. For us, it's the opposite. We're always anxious, we're always eager to get some glorification, to get some praise from others. But Prabhupada says humility is the opposite. Humility means not to be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. So here King Prithu, he is demonstrating this. When his praises are being sung by the Sutas and Magadhas, these professional reciters, he is feeling very uncomfortable, he is feeling very awkward. So someone might ask, why is it that devotees, they don't like hearing their own praise? Everyone else in the world, they like hearing their own praise. It makes them feel good, makes them feel happy. So why is it that a devotee, it has opposite effect on them? Why is it that for a devotee, he feels uncomfortable, he feels awkward whenever he's being glorified? The reason the devotee doesn't like hearing his own praise, because he understands that anything good he does, or she does, is actually not due to his own efforts, or not due to his own qualities, it's actually due to the blessings of the Lord, due to the empowerment of the Lord, and due to the blessings and hard work of all the other Vaishnavas or Vaishnavis who have helped him or her in their life. That's why they feel awkward, that's why they feel embarrassed to take any praise, because they understand that whatever good, you're glorifying me for doing, actually I didn't do it. Krishna did it through me. By Krishna's mercy I was able to do this. By the mercy of all the devotees who have trained me, who have brought me up in Krishna consciousness, I have been able to do this. So the credit shouldn't go to me, the credit should go to Krishna, the credit should go to my spiritual master, and the credit should go to all the different devotees who have helped me in my spiritual life. So because the devotee, he has this deep realization within his heart that actually whatever good I'm doing is not due to my own abilities or hard work, it's actually due to Krishna's blessings, due to my Guru Maharaj's blessings, and due to all the devotees who have helped me grow in my spiritual life. That's why whenever any praise comes, a devotee, he feels very awkward, he feels very embarrassed, and he feels uncomfortable taking that praise. Because he understands actually this praise shouldn't go to me, should go to Krishna and all the wonderful Vaishnavas, all Vaishnavis who have helped me in my life. So that is one reason a devotee doesn't like accepting praise or glorification, and he finds it very uncomfortable. Second reason why a devotee doesn't like hearing his own praise. One time, Rana Maharaj, he explains that we should all remember two things, and we should always forget two things. So the two things we should always remember is, number one, we should always remember the good things others have done to us. Second thing we should always remember is the bad things we have done to others. Two things that we should forget is, number one, we should forget all the good things we have done to others. Second thing we should forget is all the bad things others have done to us. So if we closely analyze these 4 points, for most of us as conditioned souls, we're doing the opposite. The things we're supposed to remember, we forget. And the things we're supposed to forget, we remember very closely. So we have a lot of hard work to do. So we have to reprogram our mindset, our consciousness. And that's why we have the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the more sincerely and seriously we take to this chanting of Hare Krishna, the more easily we can reprogram our mindset to act as an actual devotee. So one of the things that a devotee is supposed to always remember is the bad things he has done. So that's another reason why a devotee feels embarrassed or feels uncomfortable whenever any glorification or praise comes to him. Because one of the things he should forget is the good things he has done. And one of the things he should remember is the bad things he has done. Oh, in the past I messed up, I did this thing, I did that thing, I was trouble to this devotee, I was trouble to that person. So much nonsense I have done. So because a devotee remembers all these He remembers all of his, bad things he has done, all of his shortcomings. That's why whenever any praise or glorification comes, he feels embarrassed. Hey, how come you glorify me? You don't know my real nature, I have this anatta, that anatta. I'm struggling with so many things. So that's why a devotee feels very uncomfortable taking praise. So we see this in action with King Prithu here. But if we read Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Srila Sanatan Goswami, we'll see this in display very vividly. In the first part of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where Narad Muni is going all over the universe, trying to find the greatest devotee of the Lord. Each devotee he approaches and he glorifies, each devotee will refute that praise and will feel embarrassed taking the praise. And each devotee will in turn tell Narad Muni that don't praise me, don't glorify me, you don't know who I am, I messed up, I did this wrong thing, I did this bad thing. Instead you go to this other person, he is greater than me. So each devotee will do the same thing. First Narad Muni goes to Indra and glorifies him that, you're the king of all the demigods, Chandra, Surya, all the great demigods, they're all under you. You're so dear to the Lord. Vamana Dev, who is none other than Krishna's avatar, he's personally present with you as your younger brother, and his name is Upendra or Little Indra. So you have the Supreme Personality God as your own younger brother. So you must be the greatest devotee of the Lord. And what does Indra do? Does he feel happy being praised and glorified? No. He feels very uncomfortable. Why? Because he remembers all the things, bad things he's done. He says, no, please don't offer this praise to me. You don't know what I did. When Krishna came to take the Parijata tree, from my heavenly planets, I fought with Krishna. Can you believe? I actually had a fight with Krishna. And when the Vrajavasis, they stopped doing my puja, I attacked the Vrajavasis. I tried to murder Krishna's own family men. Murder the cows, murder all the Vrajavasis of Vrindavan. Who can be more foolish than me? So in this way, Indra is displaying that devotee. He always remembers all the things he's messed up. And that way he stays humble. And then Indra says, okay, you don't come to me. I have messed up big time, so many times. I'm not a devotee. Instead, you go to Lord Brahma. He is very pure devotee of the Lord. He's situated right there at the top of the universe. He's the head of the whole universe. Everyone is under him. So you please go to him. He's the greatest devotee of the Lord. Then Narad Muni goes to Brahma and starts praising Brahma, that you are the creator, all the demigods come from you, all the living entities come from you, you're the original grandfather, you're the head of the universe, there's no greater devotee than you. Then again, does Brahma like being praised? Does he say, yes, please go on singing my glories? No. Brahma also feels awkward, uncomfortable. Brahma, it's mentioned, Brahma has 4 heads, right? And each head has 2 years. So Brahma has 4 heads. So how many years does he have? 8 years. So he has 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. Like that he has 8 years. When Brahma, he hears his own glorification, he starts covering all of his 8 years. With his 8 years, with his hands he covers all of his 8 years and stops, hearing his own glorification. So that's how intolerant devotees are to hear their own praise. And then Brahma starts shouting to himself, I'm just a servant, I'm just a servant, I'm just the servant. Like this Brahma starts saying. So this is the mood, the consciousness of a devotee. Then Brahma again refutes all the praises of Narad Muni and says that actually you don't know who I am. I've messed up so many times, I personally came and stole Krishna's cowherd boyfriends, and I stole Krishna's cows. I caused so much inconvenience to Krishna in his pastimes. Who can be more stupid than me? So how can you glorify me as the most greatest devotee? Instead, you go to Lord Shiva. He is much greater than me. He is the greatest of all the Vaishnavas. Like this, Narad Muni will be passed from one devotee to another, and each devotee, when he will hear his praise, he will immediately close his ears and he will say, no, stop glorifying me. And that devotee will remember all the negative things or the things he's done in his life which he has messed up in. And in that way, the devotee will refute the praise and the devotee will point to another devotee. So in this way we see throughout the whole first section of Brihad Bhagavatam, we see this principle in display. So one is the devotee, he will refute the praise, understanding the faults that he has. And the secondly, each devotee, he always has another devotee higher than him in his consciousness. So in Indra's case, he is always looking up to Brahma. Oh wow, Brahma, he's such a great devotee. He's doing such nice devotional service. And for Brahma, that devotee is Lord Shiva. Brahma is always looking up to Lord Shiva. Oh wow, Lord Shiva, he's such a nice devotee. He's doing such nice devotional service. For Lord Shiva, that's Prahlad Maharaj. Lord Shiva, he's looking at Prahlad Maharaj. Oh, Prahlad Maharaj, he's doing such nice devotional service. So His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, he says that as new devotees, sometimes instead of looking up to devotees who are more senior to us or more advanced to us, what we will do is we'll look down at devotees who are junior to us, who are newer devotees than us. And in this way, by seeing junior devotees not doing devotional service, not hearing and chanting as good as us, we will start feeling proud and good about ourselves. That yes, I'm better than this devotee, I'm better than that devotee. He's not doing so great, she's not doing so great. And this way we'll become puffed up and proud. But His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, he says, instead of always looking down at devotees who are less advanced than us, we should always be looking up at devotees who are more advanced than us. And by looking at devotees who are more advanced than us, we can take inspiration, we can acquire the good qualities, and this way we will progress further and further in our spiritual lives. So that's what we see in Brihad Bhagavatamrita with all these devotees. Each devotee is not looking down at devotees who are lesser than him, but each devotee is meditating on one devotee who is greater than him in bhakti. Indra, he is meditating on Brahma as a greater devotee than him. Brahma, he is meditating on Lord Shiva as a greater devotee than him. Lord Shiva is meditating on Prahlad Maharaj as a greater devotee than him. Prahlad Maharaj is meditating on Hanuman as a greater devotee of him. Hanuman is meditating on the Pandavas as greater devotees than him. So in this way, each devotee should meditate on someone more advanced than him and always aspire and take inspiration from there. So that way we will advance. Otherwise, we're always looking down at those devotees who are less qualified than us. Then all that will lead to is just simply boosting our pride, boosting our false ego. Then instead of going forward, we will go backward. Whereas if we're always looking up at devotees who are doing better than us, we will always go forward. We will always push ourselves to do better bhakti, to do better devotional service, to do better hearing and chanting. So this is a way, so these are some different ways we can understand of why a devotee doesn't like to be praised and glorified and feels it to be very uncomfortable and awkward for him or herself. So this is what Maharaj Prithu is going through, and that's why he tries to, in a nice, gentle way, he tries to, reflect the praises away from him. Saying that, I'm just born now, I was just born 5 minutes ago, and you're saying I did this, I did that, I have this quality, that quality. What quality I have? I'm just born now, First let me act, first let me do something great, then you can glorify me. So in this way, in a nice, gentle, sensitive way, he tries to put away these praises. Then at the start of this chapter, we see these professional reciters, the Sutras and Magadhas, hearing these words of humility coming from the lotus mount of Maharaj Prithu, they become even more happy, they become even more inspired, and they continue glorifying him. That yes, what we were saying is true actually about you, and you're demonstrating, by your words of humility, you are further, giving evidence of how you're actually an avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains in this chapter that these professional reciters, they weren't just glorifying Maharaj Prithu just based on their own whims, just based on their own mental speculation, but actually they were glorifying Maharaj Prithu based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. When Maharaj Prithu appeared, it's given that all the demigods, great sages, rishis, all great personalities from all the universe, they came. So at this time present were many great sages and rishis. And these sages and rishis were glorifying or were explaining how, according to Shastra, this personality who has just appeared is none other than an avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these professional reciters, they accepted these words of these sadhus or these sages as absolute truth. That these sadhus, they can never speak untruth. Whatever the sadhu says has to be according to Shastra. And these sadhus are saying that he is none other than an avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so he must be that. So having faith in the words of these sadhus, these professional reciters are glorifying Maharaj Prithu. So they're not just blindly glorifying. So Prabhupada, in the Prabhupada, he explains that every single action we take in our life should be according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And Prabhupada glorifies these reciters, that these reciters, they're not just blindly glorifying Maharaj Prithu as an avatar. As we see people nowadays doing in India or Nepal, Prabhupada says, nowadays in India and Nepal, at the corner of every street, there'll be one Baba, one incarnation of the Lord. So to be God has become so cheap. But Prabhupada says these professional reciters, they're not like that. They're simply acting or glorifying based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So he said in our life, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they should be like our GPS system, for our lives. Does everyone know what a GPS is? Yes? Who here has driven a car before? Okay, nearly everyone. And who here has used a GPS while driving? Hey, half of you have never driven a car before. You guys should get licensed soon and learn how to drive. It's a nice service for Krishna. So I'm sure you, even if you haven't driven, you know how a GPS works. So basically a GPS system, it helps us. We want to go from one point to another point. GPS will give us directions. Now you take this turn, that turn, go straight, go there, and it'll help us reach our destination. So that's what Guru, Sadhu and Shastra are like. Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they're like our GPS system of life. We are here stuck in this material world and we need to go to the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. And Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they guide us just like a GPS system. Now, there is two unique characteristics of a GPS system. Number one, say we want to go to a certain destination. The first characteristic of GPS system is that no matter where you are situated in terms of location, the GPS, it doesn't care. The GPS will direct you. For example, we want to go to Manly Beach and someone is here in North Sydney. The GPS will give that person in North Sydney directions to go from North Sydney to Manly. Someone else might be all the way in Melbourne. And if that person in Melbourne puts the address for Manly Beach on the GPS won't discriminate that, oh, you're all the way in Melbourne. I won't give you directions to come to Manly. No, the GPS will still give directions to the person in Melbourne to come to Manly Beach. Someone else might be all the way in Perth, all the way on the other side of the country. Still, if he puts Manly Beach, New South Wales, onto the GPS system, the GPS will also direct that person to come to Manly Beach. So no matter where one is situated in the country, the GPS will help that person come and reach the destination. So that is the first characteristic of GPS. And the same thing Guru, Sadhu and Shastra do. No matter where we are situated in life, we might be completely brand new, we might be the most fallen rascal, we might be a sinful mecha, a yavana, we might have had this bad habit, that habit, we might come from this country, from that background, this background, it doesn't matter. No matter who we are, whatever we have done, whatever background we come, wherever we are situated in life, it doesn't matter. Guru, Sadhu and Shastra will point a unique path for us, will give us guidelines to a unique process for us by which we can all go back home, back to Godhead. So just like the GPS system, it doesn't discriminate. It freely and openly gives directions to anyone and everyone, no matter where they are situated in the country, and it points them towards the destination. Same way, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they don't discriminate. Anyone and everyone who comes to them, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra will guide them. Guru, Sadhu and Shastra will give them a plan by which they can go back home, back to Godhead. So that is quality number one of a GPS system. Number two. Now for all of us who have driven, or have driven in a car with someone else who's using a GPS, sometimes you'll be driving the car and you'll be following the GPS, perfectly, go straight, take right here, take a left turn, take a U-turn, so on and so forth, take this exit from the highway. But you'll be driving in the car with someone else. And then while you're driving, you'll be talking to that other devotee or person in the car. And in the course of talking, you'll become a bit absent-minded. and you'll miss the directions of the GPS. You'll miss a right turn, or you miss a left turn, or you'll miss the exit of the highway, and you'll just continue on straight. Then after 2 minutes, you realize, oh man, I just missed the turn, of the GPS. Then what happens? If we miss a turn, what does the GPS do? It will reroute, right? It will redirect us to a different part of how we can reach the destination. Does the GPS system just shut off in anger? Hey, you didn't follow me. Why didn't you take this right turn? Why didn't you take this left turn? Why didn't you exit the highway here? Okay, because you didn't follow this, I'm going to shut down. Does the GPS just shut down like that? No. It again recalibrates and again calculates another path for us to reach the destination. So in the same way, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, as our GPS system of life, they do the same thing. None of us are perfect, and we make many mistakes in life. And many times, due to inattention, we take a wrong turn in life. Just like while we're driving, due to inattention, we miss direction coming from the GPS system. So in the same way in life, due to inattention, due to laziness, ignorance, forgetfulness, past conditionings, many times we make a wrong decision. Many times we take a wrong turn. But just like the GPS system, it recalibrates and doesn't let us down and continues to support us and guide us. Same way Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they never let us down. Even though we might make a wrong decision, even though we might take a wrong turn in life, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra are always out there for us, will always help us come back to the path, help us redirect ourselves towards Krishna. They never give up on us. That's why it is said that Gurus and Sadhus, they are an ocean of mercy. Everyone has heard of this expression, ocean of mercy, right? In the morning, we always say, Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhevcha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. On the morning, we recite this prayer. In this prayer, we say, Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhevcha. Sindhu means ocean. Kripa means mercy. So Vaishnavas are Kripa Sindhus. Vaishnavis are oceans of mercy. Why does Shastra call devotees, call sadhus, call the spiritual master as an ocean of mercy? Why is this expression being used? If you look at the ocean, the unique quality of the ocean is that it is unlimited. It has unlimited water. You can have a small puddle of water in the car park, and we can immediately dry up that small puddle of water. You can have a big pond, and we can immediately dry up that pond. You can even have a big lake, but during drought season, if there's no rainfall with heavy sunshine, even a lake can get dried up. What to speak of a lake? Even there are rivers in this world that have dried up, right? Rivers, they are so vast and big, but even rivers can dry up. But is there ever an instance in history of the ocean running out of water? No. Why? Because the ocean has unlimited water. The ocean never runs out of water. So Vaishnavas, they're compared to oceans of mercy. Why? Because Vaishnavas, they never run out of mercy. They always give mercy. No matter whatever happens, a Vaishnava, even though someone might blaspheme that Vaishnava, do this bad thing to them, do this to them, a Vaishnava will never hold grudge. The Vaishnava will continue to give more and more mercy. A Vaishnava is one who is like an ocean of mercy. Just like the ocean never runs out of water, in the same way, a Vaishnava never runs out of giving mercy to others. He is always freely giving more and more mercy to others. There will never come a point in time in a Vaishnavi's life in which he will say, that's it, enough, I'm not going to help you, I'm not going to help him, or I'm not going to help her, I give up. No. A Vaishnava's heart is like an ocean. That's why this expression is used in the Shastra, that Vaishnavas are an ocean of mercy, which means Just like an ocean never runs out of water, Vaishnavas, their hearts is so great, they're so magnanimous, they never run out of giving kindness, compassion, mercy to others. So this is how as devotees we are supposed to be. So that's the second characteristic of a GPS, that even though we might take a wrong turn and might, due to inattention, disobey the GPS and take a wrong turn this way or that way, the GPS will redirect us to the destination. Same way in life, many times due to inattention, we take wrong turns, we make wrong decisions. But the Guru and the Sadhus and Shastras, they never give up on us. And they never hold grudge. Oh, he didn't listen to me, or she didn't listen to me. That's it, let them just go on their own path, let them fall down. I'm not going to waste my time with him or her anymore. Srila Prabhupada, during his time, many of his devotees, who were even sannyasis, they fell down. But Prabhupada, he never let go of them. Prabhupada still showed mercy, compassion to them. Prabhupada still tried to encourage them to continue practicing bhakti. So gurus, spiritual masters, devotees, they're all oceans of mercy. They never give up. And just like the GPS, no matter how many times we go against the GPS and take opposite turn, the GPS will keep on recalibrating, keep on redirecting a different route to go to the destination. Same way, gurus and sadhus, they will always be out there to help us. They will always be out there to redirect us. Whenever, due to our conditioning or inattention, we might be going off the path. Now that doesn't mean we take undue advantage and willingly commit sinful activities, thinking that, okay, sadhus are very compassionate, they will always help me. No, that is said to be the greatest offense against the holy name, actually, to willingly commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. So we shouldn't take undue advantage. So in this way, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they are like our GPS system in life. Point number one is, no matter wherever we are situated, the GPS will help us reach the destination. Same way Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they don't discriminate. No matter wherever we are in life, they will help us. They will make a unique path for us to help us reach the destination. And even though, second point is, even though we might take a wrong turn, the GPS will redirect us. Same way Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they will always be out there to help us refocus. So these professional reciters, they are not whimsically glorifying Maharaj Prithu, but they're glorifying Maharaj Prithu based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. There are sages assembled there, and these sages are pointing out to them that, this person is none other than an avatar of the Lord. And in the future he will do this, he will do that. All of this is written in the Shastra. Then, having full faith in the words of these sadhus, these professional reciters are glorifying. So Prabhupada, in the purport today, he is mentioning that just like these professional reciters are doing kirtan, are engaged in glorifying the Supreme Lord, each and every one of us should also engage in Krishna kirtan. Kirtan doesn't just mean, getting mridanga, kartals and singing. Kirtan means glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So kirtan means actually preaching. And that's what Prabhupada is saying in the purport today. I will read the start of the purport. However expert one may be, he can never describe the glories of the Lord adequately. Nonetheless, those engaged in glorifying the activities of the Lord should try to do so as far as possible. Such an attempt will please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya has advised all of his followers to go everywhere and preach the message of Lord Krishna. So in the purport today, Prabhupada is saying that just like these professional reciters are very eagerly, based on sadhus and shastras, are glorifying the Supreme Lord, in the same way, we should very eagerly glorify the Supreme Lord by going out and preaching. And Prabhupada says, to be able to preach, we have to follow the predecessor acharyas. We have to follow the sadhus, and we have to follow our gurus, and we have to follow the shastra. Then our preaching will have effect. Our preaching will have potency. So to be effective preachers, for our outreach to have potency, for our outreach to have impact on the population, it is said, 3 things we need to do. If we tick these 3 boxes, then our preaching will have effect. Then our outreach will have effect. Point number 1. Whatever we speak should be authoritative, which means whatever we speak to others should be based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And that's what these professional reciters are doing. So we should never invent or concoct something new from our own mind. That I think this, I think that, There are so many people out there who mentally concoct different philosophies. Prabhupada gives the example that before he wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is, there were hundreds of different editions of Bhagavad Gita. Right? And Prabhupada says, although there were hundreds and hundreds of editions of Bhagavad Gita in the West, outside of India, there was not one devotee of Krishna. Then Prabhupada says, now look, I have written Bhagavad Gita as it is, based on Guru Parampara, based on what I have heard from my spiritual master, based on what I have learned from the previous acharyas. Now look, after we've written Bhagavad Gita as it is, based on Guru Parampara, now you look all around the world. In every country, in every city, in every town and village, there are people chanting Hare Krishna. There are people who are devotees of Krishna. So this is the potency of preaching according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. If we preach the message authoritatively based on what the previous spiritual masters have given, then that preaching will have potency. All of these other editions of Bhagavad Gita, was it authoritative? No. All these people who wrote these different Gitas, they just, based on their own mental concoction, they're translating and giving their own purports. That's why there is no potency. That's why there was not one devotee of Krishna outside of India, although there were hundreds of editions of Gita. But Prabhupada says, now look, we have Bhagavad Gita as it is. Every town, every city, every country, all over the world, there are people chanting Hare Krishna. There are people who are devotees of Krishna. So this is the potency of preaching according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So this is point number 1. For our preaching to have potency, for our preaching to have effect, for our preaching to change people's lives, to make them devotees, whatever we speak should be based on what we have heard from our spiritual master, should be based on what we have heard from Prabhupada, from the previous acharyas, and nothing should be concocted from our own minds. Then the preaching will have potency. Prabhupada, he gives the example of medicine. You have medicine. If you give the medicine as it is, the medicine will have effect. If you take the medicine bottle and you dilute it by putting water, orange juice, this cordial, this liquid, then what will happen? Will the medicine have the same effect? No. But if you give the medicine as it is, as you get from the pharmacy, the medicine will have the effect. So Prabhupada says this is what has happened. All of these other editions of Bhagavad Gita which are out there on the market, on the libraries, they're all been diluted by different people's own mental concoctions. That's why it's not having the effect. But our Bhagavad Gita as it is the medicine as it is. No contamination by anything else. We're giving the pure message as it is. That's why when people read this book, their lives are being changed. That's why when people read this book, Bhagavad Gita as it is, they are becoming devotees. So in the Prabhupada is saying that we should go everywhere and preach this message of Bhagavad Gita. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada says that we can become Jagat Guru. We can become the Guru of the entire world if we just simply study 4 books. Book number 1, Bhagavad Gita. Book number 2, Srimad Bhagavatam. Book number 3, Nectar of Devotion. Book number 4, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada says you study these 4 books very nicely, know these 4 books inside out, you can become the Guru of the whole world. So that's all we have to do. We don't have to become big pundits and read hundreds of books, as Prabhupada is saying in the purport today. Prabhupada says just study these 4 books. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, Chaitanya Charitamrita. You can become the Guru of the whole world. So that is the potency of these books. So that is point number 1. For our preaching to have effect, for our outreach to impact people's lives, to change people's lives, whatever we speak should be authoritative. Whatever we speak should be based on what we have heard from Guru Parampara. Number 2, for our outreach to affect people, to have impact, it should be done out of compassion. It should be done out of genuine kindness and love. Many times we'll notice when we're preaching to others, instead of preaching to them out of compassion, kindness and love, we preach to them by looking down at them. and we preach to them in a mood of pride or ego, that, this person, or he or she, so stupid, is like this rascal, or I'm so great, I'm so much superior. And in a mood of false ego, puffed up way, we preach to them. So when people notice that kind of mood, although what we're speaking might be authoritative, it won't go into their hearts. They will reject it. If people don't see the words coming from our mouths, if people don't feel that coming out of general love, compassion, kindness, although what we're saying might be right, it won't touch their hearts. They will immediately reject it, because we're not saying it out of love. So that is point number 2. For outreach to go into people's hearts and change their lives, it should be done out of genuine love, compassion, care, and kindness. If we genuinely care for someone and in that mood of care and love, try to speak to them, try to help them, take to the path of bhakti, then people will take it. People will hear what we're saying and people will follow what we're saying. Otherwise, they will reject. So that is number 2. Number 3, whatever we speak should be pleasing to the ears of others. So this is the responsibility of someone who is preaching. This is the responsibility of someone who is doing outreach. That, yes, he has studied the Shastras, he has understood the principles of what we should do, what we shouldn't do, but he should use, or she should use their intelligence to come up with ways in which to present the message of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam in an attractive way that people can take it. So that is the responsibility of every preacher. Prabhupada says every preacher has to look around and based on time, place and circumstance has to present the eternal message of the Bhagavatam in a way that is attractive to the people in a general, in a way that people can take it. And Srila Prabhupada, he did that during his time. He preached according to time, place and circumstance. There are so many things he did out of the box. So in the same way, it's preacher's duty or responsibility to use his intelligence to come up with different ways to attract people, to come up with different ways to make the message of Bhagavatam very attractive and pleasing and very interesting. So in this way, these are 3 different check boxes we need to tick if we want our outreach or if we want our preaching to impact people's lives, if we want our preaching to change people's lives. And Prabhupada in the purport, he says that actually it will never become, Krishna's glories is so great that we can never say that we have glorified Krishna enough. And Prabhupada says, the mood should be, whatever we know, we should preach. We should never think that, okay, now I'm new, I don't know so much, in the future I should preach. When I memorize 108 slokas from Bhagavad Gita, when I finish reading all the Prabhupada books, when I've been practicing for 10 years, okay, then I'll preach. For now, let me just focus on myself. No, that's not the mood of Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, whatever you know, you preach. And Prabhupada gives the example of Saraswati. There was 2 disciples of Prabhupada, Shamsundar Prabhu and Malati Mataji. And they had a little daughter. Her name was Saraswati. And she was just like a very small girl, like 3 years old or 4 years old. And she just used to go up to people and ask them that she will just, Radha Maharaj, she explains that once he was in like some ceremony in like a big pandal and he was watching the ceremony and suddenly he feels someone pulling down on his arm and Radha Maharaj looks down like, who is this person pulling my hand? And Radha Maharaj sees, little Saraswati, this small girl is pulling his hand and then he looks at the girl. And this girl just looks straight back at him in the face. And, little baby Saraswati just looks at Radha Maharaj in the face and asks him, guess what? Like that. She just asked Radha Maharaj. And Radha Maharaj is like shocked, There's this little girl just looking up at him and saying, guess what? Like that. And Radha Maharaj, then naturally when someone says, guess what? You say what? So Radha Maharaj looks down at Saraswati and says, what? And then she tells Radha Maharaj, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And like this baby Saraswati, she just used to openly go up to anyone and everyone and ask them this question. One time Prabhupada was in Vrindavan and Prabhupada was talking to an older Indian gentleman, and baby Saraswati comes in and immediately goes up to this elderly Indian man and asks this Indian guy, do you know who Krishna is? And many times when she would ask people this, although they know the answer, they will, it's kind of fun, she's like a little girl, so they will pretend they don't know, and they will say, no, I don't know, who is Krishna, like that. So this girl, this elderly Indian man, he then told baby Saraswati, no, who is Krishna, can you tell me? Then Saraswati, again, fearlessly, boldly, she tells this Indian man, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you should surrender unto him. And Prabhupada was there, and Prabhupada was so pleased, and Prabhupada said, just see, she is Guru, just see. She knows who is Krishna. And like this, Prabhupada used to glorify baby Saraswati. That, this baby Saraswati, she is big preacher. She is big preacher. She knows that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada says, this is MA, this is PhD, this is Masters. To get Masters in Shastra doesn't mean you go and you study and memorize hundreds of slokas. Prabhupada says, if you simply know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that you should surrender unto him, that's it. You are PhD, you are Masters, you are MA, BA, whatever. You are PhD in Shastra. You are PhD in Bhakti. This is the conclusion of all the Shastras. Vedaisha sare aham eva veja. So in this way, Prabhupada, he used to glorify baby Saraswati. That, this Saraswati, she is big preacher. She knows who is Krishna and she knows what we should do, that we should surrender unto Krishna. So Prabhupada in his lectures, he used to say that whatever you know, you just preach. This little girl, Saraswati, she knows Krishna is Supreme Person of Godhead, she knows we should surrender, and she's openly going out to anyone and everyone and boldly preaching that Krishna is Supreme Person of Godhead, you should surrender unto him. In the same way, Prabhupada is saying that whatever we know, we should share with others. And in this way, we should boldly preach. Not that, okay, in the future, in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, when I've done my Bhakti Shastri, when I've done Bhakti Vaibhav, when I've memorized 100 slokas, then I should preach. Prabhupada says, no, that is not our philosophy. Whatever you know, you preach. And at the same time, you try to improve yourselves. You try to improve your preaching skills so you can become a better preacher of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So both has to happen simultaneously. Whatever we know, we need to open our mouth and share with others, help others. And at the same time, we need to boost up our preaching skills. Study Gita nicely, study Bhagavatam, become learned in the Shastras, memorize slokas, study Prabhupada's books. And in this way, we should try to become more skillful preachers. But at the same time, whatever we know, we should share with others. Okay, we're over time. We'll stop here. Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagurusha Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo.